His admirers in Austria have a saying, Salzburg's the birthplace of Herbert von Karajan. Mozart was born here too. Salzburg in Austria and Berlin, Germany, are the two centres of what's been called Karajan's music empire. Over the years, Karajan has turned the city of his birth into a shrine of music through his Salzburg festivals, in that way reflecting the influence this city's music had on his family and his own childhood.
We were making very much music at home. It was a normal practice, and on Sundays that we have two pianos, so I got the knowledge of the whole literature already when I was 5. You see, I was expected to be a pianist in that. I was taking lessons with a man who was very well known in Austria, and I studied with him 6 weeks. And then he said, look here, what you are expecting cannot be fulfilled with 2 hands. So the only thing for you is to see if you can become a conductor, because you will always be frustrated by the sound which comes at which you expect to should have 8 hands instead of 2. I think it was the best advice anybody gave me in my life.
Karajan's name may be a byword in Salzburg and elsewhere, but of the man himself, nothing is seen outside the concert halls. To some extent, he's used the carefully cultivated image of the star conductor to hide behind. Karajan has preserved his private life behind the doors of his 3 luxurious houses. The public has seen what he wants them to see, and his carefully promoted public image has served as a mask, his colleagues say, for a reticent, even shy man.
Karajan is Karajan. You might almost say that his interpretations are a development by a man, now 70, who was a boy pianist at the age of 4, whose piano playing then was described as calm and self-assured and shy. His music making isn't shy in the slightest, but he's apparently a very shy man.
27 nochmal. 27. Bleibt mir da nicht hängen wieder in der Ding. 27. Einmal Sie schnell, einmal Sie langsam. Jetzt laufen Sie mit davon. Sie müssen doch zusammen mit den anderen sein. Bitte. Ohne Sie, bitte. Es tut die. 1, 2, ich höre nichts, bitte. Also, das ist doch hier beim Tempo Primo, nicht? Ist es 28?
28 auch.
Bitte. 28, gut. Ein. The writing of music is by far the most unprecise thing which we know. Everything is guesswork, because what is a long note, what is a short note? You can play with the same value and it makes a short impression or not. What is a crescendo? Where does it begin? With how many phones, and where does it end? Mit was schlagen Sie das jetzt mit dem? Was dabei? So I mean, there's always the freedom, because nothing can be prescribed so precise that there is only one way of doing it. And besides, the moment you touch, you give your human touch to a thing, you change it by nature itself. A a flock of snow when it falls into your hand, and you look at it, just by the warmth of your hand, the thing is already transformed. It's impossible to do the thing as it is objective. It does not exist.
Also, das neue Tempo, subito, ne? Sie hören doch 4 Takte vorher das Tempo und dann spielen Sie.
There are certain conductors who have a way of conducting and everything looks like this, sort of, you know, this sort of thing. And Carry-On, when he conducts these pieces, there's no sort of, there's not this famous sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's real directing a piece. He doesn't see it as technique, but he has a tremendous technique. And his technique is always very complementary. For example, when the violins in the orchestra play a big tune, he doesn't conduct to them like this, you know, but he will conduct like this and turn around and go like this to them with a real gesture. And immediately it makes the people think, well, terrific. And they play. I mean, he inspires them, you know.
Begleiten! Gerichtsbrett!
He's very, very strong with the orchestra. I mean, incredibly strong. But you have to be, because, you know, orchestras, they don't play unless you really show your authority. And Carry-On shows this authority in a very good way.
Nein, Gottes Willen, bleib mir Piano, das ist mit dem Horn. Nur die Schwelle auf der Note. Habt ihr Pforte drinnen stehen?
It's a joy. Our rehearsals are if two people read a book together and they change their opinions. We are at a level where there's no more the coachman with the whip and the horses. It's unknown to us.
Nein! Nein, Entschuldigung, nein, falsch. Da ist plötzlich Pianissimo. Ja, da geht's. Ja, auch da hier, wo dem. Ja.
You see, the fundamental, of course, is to keep the orchestra together, not strictly speaking in the technical sense, because if an orchestra is on a certain level, those things come from themselves. But I would say a sort of a spiritual leader. And there is the necessity to take everything together and have the result.
I don't think you can describe personal magnetism. It's there. It's what enables a person to control 120 other people of completely different personalities and make them do exactly what he wants without raising his voice. And that's what the conductor's art is.
Carry-On certainly controls those 120 people, but for him, that's only the beginning. He believes in taking his music and himself to the widest possible public. A Carry-On music industry, centred at his Salzburg office, exists to immortalise his concerts and operas on film Clearly, personal vanity and gain are involved, but equally, there's no doubting his evangelism.
I had the grace in my life to be allowed to take part in what I call the explosion of our music, which when I started as a youngster was a thing for 200, 300 people in a hall. Today it's for the 150 and 200 millions of people. And I think this necessarily conveys to you the respect for it and the possibility to give it to the satisfaction of as many people as possible. And we see that today people who had never to do anything with music, they are just taken and they find some deep inner satisfaction. I think there are some points which can explain them, because in many values have lost their forces towards humanity. Music has not lost it. And we'll just take the example of the prose theater. We are confronted with the miseries of life and this, and we leave the hall sometimes with a big question. Here in the music, it's always, in a way, it's a sublimation. It shows that people through suffering come to a certain degree of happiness and an inner feeling. And I think this is what we can give, and is what is sought, and it's asked from us.